And
Right.
as Cliff was mentioning, we have Rory Clark, attorney with over 30 years of experience in seniors, veterans, and disability law. He's a family caregiver and founder of Legacy Elder Law Center. The topic we're going to be talking about is the Veterans Affairs Aid and Assistance. So, attendance. We're also very, very happy to have you on the call. Attorney Clark, because we actually are very happy to have you here. I have my AARP card, my veteran status, so I'm waiting to hear from you.
That's great. That's great. Well, Doc, what do you want to start with?
Oh, we can talk about the Veteran Affairs Aid and Assistance, and we have Gorham Clark on the phone. If you can just give us a little bit about the the Legacy Elder Law Center and what you do there, how you help out veterans.
Great.
Great, yeah. So I have been practicing, it's going on 35 years now. I started doing estate planning back in the 1980s, but I have a father who was a Marine in World War II and have a personal family journey. He had Alzheimer's, my mother had Parkinson's disease, and quite a few years ago, I focused my practice on seniors specifically and how to help them deal with long-term care issues, maintaining independence and dignity during their retirement years. And the connection that I have with Cliff here is that there is a fantastic program out there. It's a thank you program, kind of like the GI Bill was. A thank you for wartime vets and actually their surviving spouses, even if they didn't serve, when they get older and they need help to be safe at home. So I was looking forward to being able to explain some of the basics about how that program works, because my experience is for every person who knows about it, there's probably 50 who could take advantage of it and have never heard of it.
Mm.
That's very interesting. That's great. Isn't it, Doc? That's great. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yes.
Yeah, so Don, you're a retired colonel, is that right?
Oh, yes. Retired colonel from the Army, and served for about 26 years. Did a couple of tours in Iraq, and proudly served and proudly support our veterans. I think it's so important, and I really want to thank you for your input to, as far as taking care of our veterans. Many times they're forgotten when we get back, and I just want to honor what you're doing.
Well, I'm not a vet myself, but I share your respect and want to give my thanks to you for your service and for all the others out there who put themselves in harm's way to help protect our country. I had a client several years ago. He was my office is in the Washington, D.C. area, so we've got a lot of military connections here because of the Pentagon and the military bases nearby. I had a 4-star flag officer as a client who had never heard of this program called VA Aid and Attendance that allows veterans who served during wartime, and I'd like to explain what the service eligibility requirements are, and their surviving spouses with at no additional cost, monetary, tax-free cash payment goes. My dad's money came straight into his bank account right after Social Security every month, and we used it to help pay for his care. And as I said earlier, many people, including this general, was totally unaware that program was available. They call it a pension. And that's one of the things that misleads people, because they think they may have had to have a career like you, Colonel, and they're receiving a military pension. It isn't that. It's just that they pay it on a monthly basis. And a typical client of mine who receives a benefit is married and gets about $2,300 a month tax-free to help cover the costs of, maintaining life expenses and paying for that care.
Okay.
At the high end, a veteran married to a vet, the benefit's about $37,000 a year, again, tax-free, or a little over $3,000 a month. A veteran alone is entitled to over $1,900 a month, or about $23,000 a year. And here's one of the things that's fantastic about it. Except for those surviving spouses of veterans who have a service-connected disability at the 100% level, I mean, even a 90% service-connected disability doesn't entitle to a spouse to any disability benefit after that veteran dies. But this program, called VA Aid and Attendance, has a benefit that's about $1,230 a month for a surviving spouse of the vet, and that spouse doesn't even have to have ever worn a uniform a day in their life. Simply being married to a person who is committed to the service during a period of wartime enables them to collect this benefit. It's not, it's not going to buy a house in downtown New York City, but for many people, this is just what they need to make the budget match, especially if they've got to use an assisted living facility. It can be a very powerful tool.
That's fantastic.
It certainly can be. That's a great thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you become eligible for this program? What are the eligibility criteria for it?
So there are three. The first is service eligibility. Then there's a medical eligibility requirement, and there's a financial eligibility requirement. And if you'd like me to, I'll summarize each of those.
Sure, please. Yes.
Sure.
Okay. So service eligibility is really interesting. If our person our vet needs to have served 90 days on active duty, after 1980, it needs to be 2 years. They modified the program then. But we're currently dealing with a lot of Korean War vets and Vietnam War vets, and during both of those war periods, it's just 90 days on active duty, 1 day during a period of wartime, and 1 day, and no dishonorable discharge. There is some technical, some of these words are confusing to folks. What's active duty? For this program, active duty doesn't include basic training or reserves. But it does not require that you served on the front lines. During Vietnam, you could have been in Germany. During Korea, you could have been in Texas. All of that counts. And 1 day during wartime, I joke a lot that there's a list of wars. And as most people know, there was no official declaration of war during Korea or Vietnam, or frankly during the War on Terror. We have police actions and those kind of conflicts. So we've got the Mexican incursion from the early 1900s, World War I, World War II, Korea era, Vietnam era, and since 1990, the country has been, for purposes of this program, been at war. The period for Korea is 1951 to 1955, Vietnam's 1964 to 1975. And again, just 1 day, even if you weren't in a war zone, qualifies you. Now, if you're the spouse of a vet, you just need to have been married to that vet 1 year before that vet died. And I sometimes joke with the spouses, you got to go with your last spouse. One time I had a woman ask me, she said, I was married to 3 veterans. Does that mean I get 3 benefits? And I said, what happened to those vets? She said, well, I divorced them all. I said, I'm sorry, your number's 0. You go.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
So, medical eligibility is very straightforward. This got simpler thanks to some new regulations recently. The first is the person applying for the benefit has to be 65 years of age, and their doctor, not the VA doctor, not the DOD, their own doctor says this person needs help to be safe alone at home. That's it. So technically, you could still have a job and work if you just need some assistance with keeping yourself safe. So someone with a physical disability that's limiting, maybe a cognitive decline, these are classic candidates for the program. And then the most important one I want to make sure I get to is the financial eligibility, because there are some great misconceptions. This is one of the reasons there are so many people who are not familiar with the program, because they may have read something about it and then dismissed it. We have two kinds of people who take advantage of this program. There are those who have planned ahead to, and they use lawyers like me to arrange their assets to make sure they meet the qualification requirements. And there are those who just happen to meet them because this is where they find themselves. And basically there's two prongs. The first is, this isn't for people who are 65 and they're still running, mini marathons. This is for people who are actually incurring expenses that's threatening their, meeting their monthly payments. So if you're spending more than you're bringing in an income, this is when that benefit becomes available. So let me give an example. If a vet and his wife make $4,000 a month, and they spend $5,000 a month on care because the vet needs help, that's when that benefit will kick in. But if I've got somebody who's making $5,000 a month and they're not spending anything on care, well, they may be available. It may be available to them in the future, but not today. And the other is there's what the VA calls a needy requirement. That's in quotes. Needy really means you've either arranged your affairs in advance so that you wouldn't lose them to creditors like nursing homes and caregivers, or you really are a person of very limited means. Yeah. And they give us a definition for that. It's $129,000 of unsheltered assets, but not including any cars or your home. So especially in metropolitan areas, we have around the Washington, D.C. area, it's not unusual for a middle-class person to have a $300,000 or $400,000 home. But other assets may be less than $129,000, and they're immediately eligible for this program if they meet the medical eligibility and the service eligibility requirements. We have some folks who come to us who have more than that $129,000 limit, and the rules simply require us to create a trust arrangement so that those assets can be protected for their family and not exhausted by long-term care costs. They can still have $125,000 in their checking account, and then they qualify for this, and then Uncle Sam sends them this monthly stipend every month to help meet their care expenses. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I think this is fantastic. It sounds like you are a very good person to know.
It certainly does. It certainly does, Doc. Yeah.
When you need it, I am. When you don't have that need, people are busy with their lives, and who wants to talk to a lawyer, right? But when you have that fall or that accident or that stroke or whatever, all of a sudden people seem to be a little bit more willing to talk to a lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, because one of the things, I guess that means that you're not under pressure to lock your assets into annuities and all that. Because I think before they used to have to do something like that, right?
I'm sorry, I need you to repeat that again.
Yes.
I didn't.
It didn't come in too clear, Doc.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
before you'd had to be pressured into locking your assets into annuities, but that's no longer a requirement, I guess.
That's correct. In fact, under the old law, the use of annuities did make it easier for people who didn't think about this in advance, at all. Right. And there were some folks out there, financial, I hate to use the word advisors, but maybe exploiters out there who were pushing people into these things because they were just a sort of an easy, no-brainer way to help make a person qualified. Under the new rules, those have been done away with. I can take stocks, bonds, rolled up pennies, doesn't matter what, a vacation home, recreational vehicle, put it in a trust. My client names a family member to be the person who manages that. Most people are still dealing with the same bank or the same financial advisor they always ever dealt with. And those funds are still available for them to use to go on vacation or pay for grandchildren's education, whatever it is they want to do to help maintain their independence and support their families. So it's really not about locking things up. It's about making sure that they're not there so that a creditor, like a credit card company or a nursing home, can come and wipe out the family.
Okay. Yeah, we had to have you back. We're running short on time now, but you're located in Leesburg, Virginia, right? Maybe you can give us where should people look for more information, a telephone number they can call, then we can have them get in contact with you.
Thanks. So, let me tell you that. And this is an interesting thing. So I'm admitted to practice law in Virginia, Maryland, and D.C., but the Veterans Affairs Department has a special credentialing process that those of us who wish to do these kinds of things have to go through. So it's kind of like a federal bar examination, and we're allowed to help people in California, Chicago, American Samoa, Puerto Rico. If you served and you were a vet, we're entitled to help with this program and help them process and prosecute that application. Funny thing is, it actually is prosecuted locally to me. You may not be near me, but the VA, of course, is mainly here in Washington. So we have a website, legacyelderlaw.com. Our phone number is 703-988-7975. And I talked with the other lawyers in the office today, told them I was coming back on Cliff's program. We would be pleased to put together a special way we can create one of those trusts that's necessary for people. We would do it here. We'd make it a Virginia trust, but they don't have to live here. It would be designed to meet these VA benefits and give them a special discount so that they can get that arrangement done and take advantage of the benefits they're entitled to. We want to do that for folks. We never charge anybody for filing an application. If they do need to do some trust planning, we're happy to do that on a discounted basis as well as our way of thanking them for their service.